Welcome on into a live edition of the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Matthew Peterson. On today's show, we've got some fun storylines to go over. A Broncos rookie got what I think is some pretty cool news, so we'll share that with you all. We're also going to peek at Mel Kiper's latest big board, who he likes and who the Broncos may end up selecting with the 20th overall pick in April's draft. But as always, I want to get the show started by getting you all involved in the chat. Let me know where you are tuning in from. Shout out your city before we get into the nuts and bolts, the meat and potatoes of today's show. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm not talking to myself. I figured out, by the way, what button I had to click to prevent that happening again. The button is clicked. It was my fault. We got over 70 people tuned in right now, so where are you watching from? Do we have anyone in like the New Orleans, Alabama, Panhandle, the trio watching right now? Because I saw that area just got completely caked in snow. I saw a picture of Bourbon Street, and it looked like Breckenridge. It was honestly out of this world. So where are you guys tuning in from? Aiden's in Fort Collins, so he's got plenty of snow. We've got Iowa in the house from Jackson. Matthew Hunt is watching from San Diego, California. Ty Man the Buckeye wasted no time updating his profile picture. He is watching from the Buckeye State, the land of champions right now, the college football national champs. Mario's in Arizona. Arizona, well, depending on how up in the mountains you are, is never going to get some snow. Wheezy is in Kansas City. I was looking at the weather for Kansas City and for Philadelphia this weekend, just for both championship games. Looking like pretty solid weather for late January, high 20s, low 30s, so nothing too frigid where the game kind of gets taken over by the weather. I know it's sometimes fun on TV to watch, like, ooh, it's 10 degrees, but it's not fun when a team that's just been a bread and butter offense speed gets completely halted because of bad weather in January. We got Joel tuning in from Chirac. Raya's Gaming's in Colorado. Mario's in Hawaii. Christy is in Kansas. Love to see it. Nearly 100 people watching. Make sure to like the video if you haven't already. It will go a long way to help grow the channel, get more eyeballs over here so we can get more studio space to get you guys more content. Quick shout out, though, while you continue to shout out your city for us in the chat, to our sponsors today, starting with our friends over at Gametime. Gametime is an awesome sponsor of ours because they're going to get you guys hooked up on great deals. If you want to go to a Nuggets game, an Avs game, or any other sporting event, concert, comedy show, you name it in your local area, visit Gametime today because they're going to give you guys $20 off your first purchase when you download the Gametime app and use code CHATSPORTS. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem that code CHAT Sports for $20 off. I put all that information for you guys in the comments and description of today's video. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Also, big special shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to go and play daily fantasy sports because they make it easy for you guys. Basketball season, hockey season is heating up, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. Prize Picks also puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. PrizePicks now offers Venmo and MasterCard for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All of that information is in the comments and description of today's video. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Who you got, though, for the AFC Championship game? You got the Bills or you got the Chiefs? Producer Reed is going to give some shout-outs to you guys. I got to respond to a quick message here. But let me know who you got for the AFC Championship game. I want to take the Bills. We all want to take the Bills. Everyone in America, except for 2 states, wants to take the Bills. I have literally gone against the Chiefs for might be 5 straight playoff games. I didn't think the Texans could actually win it, but I did see a path for the Texans. I straight up picked against the Chiefs, and my wallet will show that every single game last postseason. I thought the Dolphins could go there in the wild card. That was dumb. That was just wishful thinking. The next round, I thought the Bills would win at home. I really did. I thought the Ravens would win at home, and then I thought the Niners would win the Super Bowl. So that's 4 games right there. 5th one, if you kind of count the Texans. And then what was their last? It would have been beating the Eagles in the Super Bowl, which I also picked the Eagles to win that game. So I'm like 0-6. It's not good. Reed, a couple quick shout-outs here.
What's up, everybody? Oh, no. I was muted.
Ooh.
Sorry, guys.
Little anti-Second Amendment from someone in this office. Or, sorry, First Amendment. Just silencing you.
I was going to say Second Amendment.
Yeah, Second Amendment in the office would be pretty wild.
That would be wild.
Yeah, that's a different office.
What's up, everybody? So we got Tanner, Aiden, Matthew, Todd. Everyone's saying Buffalo. I mean, I think everyone wants Buffalo. I just want a fair refed game. Can we just get that, please? That's all I need. That's all I need, because so we all saw Patrick Mahomes flopping.
The flopping was ridiculous.
All I want is for someone just to eat the penalty and just knock the shit out of him.
Yeah, but the issue with that is the penalty is going to lead to a Chiefs touchdown. Like, there's no doubt in my mind.
Honestly, I don't care.
No, but you will care. In the AFC Championship game.
Oh, it's not my team.
Well, yeah, I get what you're saying. But, like, Bills fans will care, as they should. As for the NFC Championship game, producer Reed is from Philadelphia, so we can kind of put together a good idea as to where he might be from. But let me know if you got the Commanders, which I guess is just too long, or the Eagles. I'm going to go with Philly. I would love to see. I think Philly. I mean, Commanders-Bills Super Bowl would be pretty wild for the Commanders' expectations this year and the Bills' playoff and specifically their Super Bowl history as well. But Eagles-Bills is probably what I'm rooting for right now. I just think from a matchup standpoint, it'd be fun, and there's no risk of the Chiefs three-peating, and that's priority number 1 for me.
By the way, I saw a post online that said Louisiana or like Bourbon Street and New Orleans is going to erupt because of Eagles fans and Bills fans, the two most crazy fan bases. It might burn down.
Let me ask you this question. If you're a bar owner in New Orleans, what is the ideal matchup from a beer alcohol sales Super Bowl? I think it's got to be Buffalo.
Buffalo and Eagles.
Yeah. Saints would go wild.
Oh, are you talking about like
if you're right now this year?
General?
If you asked a bar owner in September, who do you want to play? You think Saints Bills?
Saints Bills.
Yeah. The only thing with the Saints is it's not going to draw a major crowd to Bourbon Street. Whereas like Bills Eagles, they're going to travel to New Orleans and they're only going to go to Bourbon. I don't think Saints fans are going to spend the whole time. You know, what I mean, they're local there.
It's very touristy.
Yeah, exactly. So it may not be as good for business if it's the Saints. What do you think?
I think they have to be in there. Because
Saints, you're saying?
I don't think it matters where they go. Everywhere is going to be packed because the Saints are in the Super Bowl.
Right, I
New
agree.
Orleans.
Yeah, I agree. What's the worst one? Who are the two most sober fan bases? I don't know.
Utah?
Yeah.
Denver?
No, you get some good IPAs going there. I'm not sure if. Do Rams fans, they got to maintain that LA body. No way. But let's just say every fan base did have the same amount of fans. Rams fans, they are looking to avoid carbs.
That's a good point.
Yeah, they don't want to risk losing the six-pack. I think Rams Super Bowl versus who from the AFC? Dolphins, Miami people,
No,
the Miami diet.
No, Miami, it's
You think
it's a party town.
It is party town.
They stay up until 7 or 8 a.m.
Yeah, Browns fans, Steelers fans, Bengals, Ravens, they all party.
Party hardy.
Yeah. We got to think about this one.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get this show on the road, though. I do want to talk about a few topics with you guys. One, I want to go over some pretty cool news that came out involving a Broncos rookie, and it's not Bo Nix. Plus, I want to look at Mel Kiper's big board because Denver's in that I wouldn't say no man's land, but kind of no man's land where you're picking at 20. So you kind of feel like you're a part of the early stage of the draft, but you also are picking 20 where you kind of feel like you're with the playoff teams where you kind of sit back and wait and see what comes at you. You're right in that middle of, can we really get some of these top 10, top 15 players if they start to slip a little bit? Or are you hanging out with, hey, welcome to the back of the bus here. It's the Chiefs and it's the Bills, and we're used to just wait and see mode and who might fall to us. We're going to have a mailbag as well. Use hashtag Broncos or Super Chat. If you Super Chat, you skip the line. We guarantee your spot gets on screen. Hashtag Broncos, and producer Reed just picks his favorite questions out of the chat for you. Okay, let's get this party started. We got 124 people watching, but only 32 likes. Hit that thumbs up button down below if you haven't already. Would greatly appreciate it. Does help grow the channel, like I said. We got Bo Lever, most likely KC versus Philadelphia. Yeah. I'm worried that the rematch, I mean, if the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs' toughest game is this weekend. And that's not a knock against the Eagles. The Eagles are very good, and the Eagles could be better than the Bills. But I feel like when the Chiefs, if they get to the Super Bowl, they're going to look at it as like either we're playing the Commanders and they're going to win by 30. Or we're playing the Eagles again. They're playing too emotional. They want their revenge. And we're looking at this as another business trip to the Super Bowl. And I don't like the Eagles' chances against the Chiefs.
So I don't know how, but the Chiefs just keep winning.
Yeah, I don't like it.
They're not a good team.
Their roster is not loaded.
That's what we said last year, too.
I know it is.
Last year, we were like, they have nobody to throw to. And then
this is basically just all pros. But if us, the fans, forget the media, forget the coaches, forget the players, if aliens were coming down and they had their 22 best and we had, you, me, Reed, had to put together the NFL's 22 best, I'm not sure how many Chiefs players are on that 22's best. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's probably Chris Jones. I don't think Travis Kelce anymore, although if we were playing aliens for all of our lives, I'd probably put my faith in Travis Kelce. Yeah. He does have a knack for playing his best in the biggest games. We're probably putting Creed Humphrey at center. Yeah. Maybe Joe Tooney at guard or Trey Smith. There's no receivers, no running backs. On defense, we'll put Chris Jones. I don't think Karlaftis, no. He's not 22 best. But maybe Trent McDuffie. And that's like about it. It's unfair. It's unfair. All right, here we go. Are we ready to jump into our first segment today, which is a bit of good news, like I said, for a particular Broncos rookie out there. Chris G talking about Juwan Johnson and free agency and trade up to grab Ashton Jeanty. Chris, not opposed. Use hashtag Broncos somewhere in that message. Copy, paste it back in there. That way we can actually put it on screen because our software, it just scans the chat for hashtag Broncos. Okay. Reed, are we ready to get this plane off the ground? Okay. I got David in the chat, Bo Lever, Time Man the Buckeye. CPJ is here. What's going on, CPJ? Awesome to see you. Hope you're having a nice Tuesday. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about the latest surrounding your favorite team. The Denver Broncos might have just pulled off a great example of highway robbery because Jonah Ellis, the rookie edge rusher, was selected to the Pro Football Writers Association all-rookie team. And when this list gets published and everyone looks at it, I've got no doubt that there will be a lot of above-average NFL fans who will be asking themselves, who's Jonah Ellis? Like, trying to play it off cool in front of their friends, just quickly go on Wikipedia. Jonah Ellis, where'd he go to college? Never heard of this guy, and he's one of the best rookies this year? Yeah, Broncos country knows this because, like John Gruden called him, the anonymous crush this year was filled with a lot of contributors like Ellis, who had 5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss. He unfortunately suffered a shoulder injury in the loss to Buffalo. If there's a time to get an injury, I guess ideally it's the last game so you don't miss any games. But his offseason now is going to be filled with rehab and things like that, which is a big bummer for him. But I've been a big fan of Jonah Ellis since day one. Listen, I don't bat 1,000 on the show or anything close to it. If you remember back in the draft, I predicted that Denver would draft Bo Nix, but I also said I am not crazy about it. I gave the draft pick a B-, and I've been proven wrong so far, and I hope to be continue proven wrong. But one pick that I definitely just nailed from the start was Jonah Ellis. So here's the tape from draft day when Ellis was selected, or the day after, back in April. And I think this is going to be a really good pick for Denver in a few years. That's why I'm going to give it an A. Jonah Ellis was one of my favorite sleepers for day 2 of the draft. Loved this selection for the Broncos all the way at pick 76. I thought this was an A grade and an A pick by George and Sean Payton. And since the Broncos have picked Jonah Ellis, he has gone out and proven me and anyone else who's a big believer in him correct, because he didn't have the extreme physical makeup of a true edge rusher, a little undersized, 6'2", sub 250. But I saw someone who was feasting in the Pac-12, was getting incredible production, and a part of an awesome NFL family lineage of players with Caden Ellis in the Atlanta Falcons. I think it's Christian Ellis over at the New England Patriots. Their dad, of course, played for the Broncos. And so Jonah Ellis, I always thought from day one, would be an excellent pick. And in round 3, they found a future all-rookie Pro Football Writers Association player. So I've got more to add on to this subject and some really cool stats that are going to back up what I'm talking about here. So make sure you stick around for that. But the NFL draft is a few short months away. So if you want someone who can identify good picks in round 3, because you should hopefully nail your round 1 pick. But round 3, round 4, round 5, that's where good drafts are created, but excellent drafts are conceived. So make sure to subscribe. We want to get to 35,000 subscribers by the time round 1 rolls here. So going back to Ellis, he was selected in round 3 out of Utah, appeared in all 17 games for the Broncos, did not make any starts, but had a pretty good sized role, played 38% of snaps from week 1 to week 18. He was the 8th edge rusher selected in last year's draft. So let's see how he fared compared to the 17 players at his position that were taken before him. Well, he finished 3rd in sacks amongst all rookies, trailing Braden Fisk out of Florida State, who went round 2 to the Rams, Chop Robinson out of Penn State, who went round 1 to the Dolphins, ahead of Jared Verse, Leatu Latu, Dallas Turner, 3 edge rushers at nearly identical positions who all went in round 1. And Jared Verse had a phenomenal rookie season, but don't sleep on Jonah Ellis. And now I look to this Broncos front 5 for 2025 and beyond, and it's hard not to be excited about this. You are bringing back 4 out of your 5 starters guaranteed from the number 1 pass rush in football: Cooper, Allen, John Franklin Myers, Nick Bonito, and then really important, not just role players, but key contributors off the bench in Tillman and Ellis, and hopefully Sanders, a year plus removed from the Achilles injury, is healthy and ready to roll. And so when you look at the core, I'll say, of this Broncos outside linebacker room, Bonito, Cooper, and Ellis, all of them come off extremely strong seasons. Bonito and Ellis still on their rookie contracts, and Cooper got up to, I think, looking back, will be a very team-friendly deal. Now, before we look at the rest of today's show, to even further emphasize how much of a highway robbery this Ellis selection was, I think you guys will get a real kick out of that. Quick shout out to our friends over at Gametime. Gametime has an awesome feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. You see, Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. One thing I really like about Gametime is their all-in pricing option. When you toggle this feature, Gametime will show you what you are paying out the door right from the start. That way you don't spend 20 to 30 minutes going through the whole process and discovering there's all these fees waiting for you at the end. No, with all-in pricing, you know right from the start. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Gametime today. last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So to go back to the front five for the Broncos, I think it's not being appreciated enough how important this Jonah Ellis selection might be long-term for Denver. Because the Broncos pass rush was number one in football in terms of sacks. And it was number one in football from a bunch of players that most fans and most people in the league really had not heard of. I mean, Denver is getting elite pass rush production, one of the most, if not the most important stat in football this day and age, outside of anything related to the quarterback, from a second-round pick, the last pick in round 2, Nick Bonito, a third-round pick in Jonah Ellis, and a seventh-round pick in Jonathan Cooper, allowing them to maximize their efforts in rounds 1, in round 2, and in free agency at other positions. Let me show you what I mean by this. So the last 5 years, here are the team sack leaders and their sacks. Denver, this past season, paving the way with 63 sacks to lead the NFL. You can see how that's fared against the last couple of sack leaders. Pretty down year in 2021. But what I really want to show you guys is, okay, so you're number one in sacks. Let's say you're number one in home runs. Are you spending like you should be number one in sacks or number one in home runs? Not really. I mean, here is the spending at defensive line plus linebacker, so really just encapsulating the front seven for any team, and the average annual average contract. So if you added up all the average salaries in 2024 for the Broncos, $64 million. They got 63 sacks, and they're paying a little under $1 million per sack. The Philadelphia Eagles, they paid over $100 million for their 70 sacks. It's a great value. And keep in mind, the NFL salary cap goes up and up and up and up and every single year. So these numbers should go up every single year. And Denver, with $64 million, outperformed just by sack to dollar ratio the Eagles and the Steelers by a mile, along with the 2020 Steelers as well. So from a financial standpoint, this is incredible right here for what you're spending and what you're getting in return. But ignore free agency and second contracts. How about in the draft? Denver has not committed much draft capital to this position group, and look at the results they have yielded. First and second round picks at those two spots, defensive line and linebacker. Just one for the Broncos. Nick Bonito, right? Am I forgetting anyone else? I don't think so. Baltimore Ravens in 2023 had 3 guys, either a first or second round pick. The Eagles had 3 guys. The Steelers had 3 guys. Steelers in 2020 had 4 guys. I mean, 3 times the draft capital that Denver is spending on premium assets at cornerstone edge rusher position, and they had 63 sacks. Just imagine what's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 years with the ability to then focus their draft capital and their free agency budget on other positions because of what they are getting from their round 2, round 3, and their round 7 pick at the second most important position in sports, in football. It's truly fascinating to see how well this Broncos pass rush performed for, I wouldn't say how little of an investment was made into it, but kind of how little of an investment was made into it. Not a ton of money. They didn't go out in free agency and sign the top number 1 pass rusher. They didn't go to the draft and use a top 10 draft pick on an edge rusher. And now they've got flexibility to go out and use good draft picks and free agency balance on other spots to fill those needs because they hit the lottery by getting the number 1 pass rush out of a second, third, and 7th round pick. So let me ask you this question. Do the Broncos have a top 5 defense going into 2025? Give me a yes or give me a no. I think they do. If we go from front to back, this pass rush is spoken for. The run defense wildly exceeded my expectations. That was one of my biggest concerns for this team. And then Malcolm Roach told me to shut the F up and played amazing this year. Pat Surtain, we can just check off the cornerback room. Probably need a little bit of help at safety because P.J. Locke did not play as well as I would have hoped. But linebacker, you'll be getting Alex Singleton back. Cody Barton played his tail off. This is a very good up-and-coming young defense. So to kind of wrap up the video here, if we peek at Denver's 2025 draft picks, I don't think they've got to go edge rusher very early. So now imagine what you can do in rounds 1, 2, and maybe even round 3, addressing other needs for this team. Running back, tight end. Those are kind of what I call dessert positions. When you go to a buffet, you don't go to the dessert bar first, right? You go get your meat, you go get your potatoes. And that is usually your cornerstone positions. And then the dessert portion of the buffet is your running back, is your tight end, your safety. Positions that usually don't go top 10, top 15 in drafts. But now Denver, they can go straight to the dessert aisle. They've already got their meat and potatoes. They've got their quarterback. They've got their pass rush. They've got their corner. They can get a little fancy and go, yeah, well, you guys have fun with your broccoli. I'm going to go to the all-you-can-eat ice cream bar. Get a nice soft-serve ice cream. Maybe get like a baseball hat, too, if they got those there. That's the best. We all collected those growing up. Pretty fun right now, not going to lie. One other quick news item I just want to talk about. The Raiders. Let's get a good laugh here. Ben Johnson went to the Chicago Bears because of the quarterback. And Raiders fans really sold themselves on getting the #1 head coaching candidate. And now Raiders fans are looking around and asking themselves, who are we going to get? And I sit 15 feet away from our Raiders host, Mitchell Renz, and he has gone all in on talking himself into old man Pete Carroll. Here are his top 10 candidates. I don't think Dion is leaving Colorado for the Raiders gig, only the Cowboys gig. Brian Flores would not be a bad hire, but I don't think Brian Flores wants to go to the Raiders knowing you only get 2 shots, most likely, at being an NFL head coach, and the Raiders is not a good opportunity right now. Liam Cohen sounds like he's going to the Jags. Vance Joseph, I don't think, is going to be the guy for the Raiders. Steve Spagnuolo, I doubt they hire as well. Robert Salah, maybe, but he never was able to develop any kind of quarterback in New York, and they need a quarterback in Las Vegas. Aaron Glenn, I think, is going to go to the Jets. Todd Monken, I think, would actually be a pretty good hire, so maybe just keep that on the DL. Pete Carroll, I don't think Pete Carroll would be bad for the Raiders, but Raiders fans are going to hate it. But I think right now the Raiders need to kind of get something established there because it's just been an absolute laughingstock of a head coaching position for almost their entire existence. I mean, it's been a long time since they really had something concrete there. And Carroll would bring in something concrete. But he also wouldn't be there too long because he's on AARP and he's like 73 years old. All right, that will do it for us on today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Jonah, if you are by chance watching, congratulations, and you're going to be one hell of a Bronco. We got a $20 super chat in the midst of that cut right there. Took everything in me, Mr. Sam, to kind of fight off that smile. Try to look a little professional for our video. But appreciate you, Sam. We'll throw it on screen for you in just a moment. I still have my Braves ice cream helmet. That was an absolute must in, like, I'd say 4th to 6th grade. Oh, no, actually, I'll back it up. Like 3rd to 6th grade Little League Baseball. After the game, go to the ice cream spot, and you always wanted to get an ice cream hat. I also liked collecting, though. Like, I didn't want to get just the same one every time.
So I'm going to put Sam's super chat up on screen. But the first thing that I thought of was when you're eating ice cream out of a cap.
Yeah.
Tastes better.
True, definitely.
Gatorade.
I also
Gatorade out of the little nipple.
Yeah.
Tastes way better.
Yeah, maybe even healthier,
it's two
too.
Things.
Hopefully.
It's the vessel. It's the vessel.
Hi, Matthew. Really like your knowledge of the Broncos and the NFL overall. Thank you, Sam. I'm really looking forward to an offseason with lots of cap space and draft picks. Go Broncos. Sam, appreciate that. Let me add on to the second part of it because I don't want to be a rain cloud, but the biggest, let me put it this way. Usually the wide receiver class is loaded in the draft every single year. Last year, Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze. If any of those guys were in this year's draft class, they'd be no doubt top 10 draft picks and the first receiver taken. There's not that good of a receiver class this year, which means teams are going to have to turn to free agency to fill their wide receiver need, which means those receivers' agents know my client's value has skyrocketed, and they're going to be much more expensive. I don't think the Broncos are going to be big spenders at receiver, knowing, wow, your value has gone up because of supply and demand, and we're not going to be suckers and overpay for this. So I don't expect Denver to be big spenders at receiver, which is a position that I've seen a lot of people inquire about when it comes to, could Denver make a big move and bring someone like DK Metcalf in? I could see DK getting traded. I don't think the Broncos are going to be the ones looking to trade for, give up draft capital, and then give up big contracts to guys that maybe don't deserve or are worth that much money, but are taking advantage of a weak wide receiver draft class. So we're going to have a mailbag coming up in just a little bit. But Sam, thank you so much for your super chat. That made my day. Really appreciate you supporting the channel like that.
I saw it come in while we were in the cut, and I was like, oh my God, Sam!
Let's go, Sam. Hashtag Broncos, though, or super chat. AFX, what's going on? Hope you enjoyed. Yeah. Sam, sorry, AFX, appreciate you. I'm getting all twisted around. Use hashtag Broncos or super chat if you want to be a part of our mailbag, like Sam's super chat, which will be on screen for all of our viewers to see during the mailbag. 157 people watching, 74 likes. Awesome to see. Can we get one more like? Can I be needy? Oh, we got 75. We're done. First Down Prods. What's going on? We got a $1 super chat coming in from First Down Prods. That's what I'm talking about. I don't remember First Down Prods super chatting in the past, so 2 claps. A little 1-2 for First Down Prods. 1-2. Appreciate you. Okay. Segment number 2. Mel Kiper's Big Board. Updated it, released it. People have been debating over it, and I want to go through it with you guys here. So that's what we have on tap for everyone next. You got 75 likes. Yep.
Mel Kiper, he puts it out, and then he just sits back. It's like, all right, go ahead, guys. And just
I kind of wonder.
Go get after it.
I don't really know what Kiper does day to day. It's like, one, what does he do the day after the draft? Or no, day after the draft, he's busy giving out his premature draft grades. But from May till October, what is he doing? I'd love to know. I never know what they're doing back there. Another super chat from Sam. The meatloaf. Never know what she's doing back there. We got another super chat from Sam BBM. I'm guessing the Sam stands for something. What's that an acronym for? You're most welcome, Matthew. Here's another 10. Good luck with your Tennessee Vols and college basketball the rest of the way. Thank you. I'm not even trying to push like a Tennessee. I rarely wear T-shirts, but I don't know why this morning I just decided to toss on a T-shirt. They got Mississippi State tonight. Tennessee is not a elite basketball team compared to previous years for where they are ranked, but I'm going to enjoy the ride while it lasts. I don't have high expectations for them, though. They just are missing that true elite scorer like they had last year in Dalton Connect. But that's enough of my Tennessee basketball podcast. I'm going to lose viewers if I continue. I love Lamar. Sam the man. That's what I'm talking about, Sam. All right, as I was talking about, Mel Kiper, Big Board, right now. Broncos Breakdown. Here we go. Coming up on today's show, I want to reveal Mel Kiper's latest NFL draft big board with you guys and talk about which players the Broncos could have an eye on. The major or main point of this video is just for you watching right now to get a better sense of awareness for these prospects, because I love the NFL draft. And one thing I love about the draft is no one can say with absolute certainty they're right and you're wrong about a prospect. It's a choose-your-own-adventure for everyone. So I invite you to watch the show, learn about these prospects, so then you maybe can do your own homework if you want to. You can steal my notes. I don't care. That's my job. And just come up with your own favorites of who you think the Denver could target, at pick number 20. So let's get into it. Starting with 1 through 5. No one should get their hopes up for any of these players. Unless some major trades happen, they're not getting Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, or Mason Graham. Obviously, maybe almost in that order, that would be my preference for the Broncos, but that's not happening. Will Johnson at number 6. Denver doesn't need a corner, but I do think he's going to be a stud. Ashton Jeanty at 7. Now we get to our first train stop where we go, okay, let's talk about Ashton Jeanty because that's someone who definitely could pique Denver's interest. First, some background information on him. From a size standpoint, pretty solid size, 5'9", 215 pounds. Maybe some teams would prefer him to be a little bit on the taller side, but now we're just getting nitpicky here. There's a lot of pros. One, if you just watched him at all for even a half a Boise State game, you walked away thinking, that guy's a stud. I don't care who he's playing in the Mountain West. Some people are knocking him because he didn't play legit competition. Chris Johnson played at East Carolina. LaDainian Tomlinson played at TCU. I rest my case. And that was, by the way, TCU pre-Big 12. So the question that I think we all have to ask ourselves is, will Ashton Jeanty even fall to pick number 20? That is a little bit of a tough answer because on one hand, you might look at his numbers and think, this is pointless. Why are we debating this guy? He's not going to even be available for the Broncos at pick 20. You could look at who's picking ahead of Denver, and there's not an obvious spot. The Cowboys maybe, the Bears potentially, but the draft is filled with unknowns. There will be trades. Things are going to change, so don't get too glued or attached to the current draft order. So when it comes to whether or not Jeanty could be even available at pick 20, I can't say yes or no for certainty. What I can do is just look at the past and go, well, what were people projecting in the past, and then what were the actual results? So I just used Mel Kiper just to keep things consistent today, and I looked at his last 3 years of January mock drafts. And what I saw was 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 5. He had 4 players projected to go top 15 that ended up being available at pick 20 in 2 straight years. 5 players in 2022 that he projected to go top 15 that ended up being available at pick 20. So his latest mock draft, which he actually hasn't come out just yet, it'll be any day now, but I have no doubt he will have Ashton Jeanty going in the top 20, probably closer to top 15 than top 20. But don't say with absolute certainty, no, Denver can't get Jeanty. He won't be there at 20. The draft is, an absolute crapshoot. And anything can happen. So I would not ingrain yourself in any one trench of this is fact. The second question we have to ask ourselves, does Sean Payton want Ashton Jeanty? We had a video about this, which some people did not like the title of, but I enjoyed it. This is a growing conversation following the end of the year press conference because Sean Payton pretty much did everything he could without coming on saying, verbatim, we're not drafting Ashton Jeanty. He talked about how they don't see a bell cow back as the way they want to go. If you take Jeanty, he is your bell cow back. That is why you use a top, 15, 20 draft pick on him. You use a first-round pick to give him 300-plus carries every single year. And that's not really Payton's MO as a coach. With the Saints, he always divided the carries up amongst his running backs. My honest opinion on these 2 questions is we're likely going to get no from one of the 2 questions. It might not be the one you're thinking of, but it seems unlikely that yes, he will be there at 20, and yes, Sean Payton wants to draft him. He might be there at 20, but Sean Payton doesn't want to draft him. Sean Payton might want to draft him, but he might not be there at 20. So my gut tells me we're probably going to get no to one of those 2, and that'll be the end of Jeanty coming to the Broncos. Although I'm holding out hope because he's my number 1 draft target for Denver. Before we look at the rest of the players on Kiper's big board, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Mock draft season is here. There'll be plenty of draft rumors coming out as we get closer to Super Bowl week and the Combine. Then we have free agency in March. That's always a blast. So help us reach 33,000 subscribers after recently crossing 32,000 subscribers. On to player number 8 on Kiper's big board. It is Teteroa McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona. I'm actually going to pause the video here and talk about McMillan, or T-Mac as his teammates and friends call him, because I do think there is a chance that he could pique Denver's interest. 6'5", 212 pounds. very, very big human being for a wide receiver. He beats defenders with that 6'5" frame and his physicality when he's high pointing the football and he's trying to win 50-50 balls over a DB. He does not have elite speed. He's not someone who you can throw the ball to on a slant. He'll catch it, turn upfield, and beat everyone. That's not his role. Don't use him in that role. Use him in a kind of like Mike Williams role, but he's not quite as like powerful, I think, as Williams. He was from Hawaii, went to Arizona, played all 3 years for the Wildcats, and he had monster back-to-back seasons. 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns in 2023, and then this past season, 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns for a bad Arizona team. This is not a very deep wide receiver class. So if there is ever even just a tiny, tiny part of Sean and George Payton that want to go out and draft a receiver, don't wait. Because the combination of running back, or let's just say the combination of tight end in round 1 and wide receiver in round 2 may not be as good as the combination of wide receiver in round 1 and tight end in round 2. It's a deep running back and tight end class. It is not a very deep wide receiver class. And that's the first time we've said those words in a long time. And Denver's wide receiver room is pretty young, and I wouldn't say lacking superstar power, but if the Broncos feel like we need more playmakers to take down the Bills and the Chiefs and the other AFC juggernauts, then they may look to upgrade. Now, I think personally they are confident in this receiver room after the way Mims closed out the year, the season Sutton had. Troy Franklin got better as the season went along. Devon Vele showed a ton of promise throughout the season. I think internally the Broncos are much more confident in this receiver room than like fantasy football owners are. So my guess is they're probably not going to go with the receiver in round 1, but if they really want to get one, they shouldn't wait. And that might motivate them to take someone like McMillan. Moving along here, big board 9 through 10. Jalen Walker and Kelvin Banks, those are just two positions I don't see Denver pursuing in round number 1, so I'm not going to look at those guys very closely with you all. Same goes for like Will Campbell, the left tackle from LSU. But at number 12, we get Tyler Warren out of Penn State. And this is absolutely someone I could see the Broncos putting at the top of their wish list. Now, before we look closer at Warren, a quick shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players. Basketball season is heating up, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. Prize Picks also puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Here are my selections for Sunday's games. They are giving Jaden Daniels at 0.5 passing yards. They're just giving you the more. Take it, pair it with one more, and you're home free. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once more, download the Prize Picks app and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Moving back to Tyler Warren, I should say. So we've talked about him before on the channel, but it's good to rehash things in case you forgot. We got some new viewers here. 6'6", 260 pounds. What the fuck? Is that tight? Is he really 260 pounds? That is a monster human being. I'm almost going to look it up right now. Like, I don't believe myself, and I'm the one that wrote this. Tyler Warren, please. Is he really? You're watching this in live time right now. Tyler Warren, Penn State. If he is truly 260 pounds, he's 261. Rounded down. These guys don't come out in the draft every year. They don't grow on trees. 6'6", 260. You are getting an offensive lineman with the hands of a receiver that runs like a running back. That's what makes him so special. He's got an incredible catch radius where it doesn't matter where the ball is. he's going to find a way to get his hands on it and come down with the catch. Now, the knock on him is he's not an elite run blocker. You know what? That's fine. I don't need him to be an elite run blocker. I've got 5 great offensive linemen that can do that for me. You can stick another tight end there. You can use a different tight end on run packages. What he's able to do through the air, 1,000 yards for a tight end in the modern era of college football is blasphemy. It's unheard of. He was a do-it-all man for the Nittany Lions. He could throw, he could run, he could catch. He did everything for Penn State. So, Tyler Warren, I think, would be a home run pick. I think him or Jeanty would be an A++. Does he fall to pick 20? We have to wait and see. I could see the Dolphins going with the tight end. I could see any team just going, regardless of our need, we're going to fall in love with this guy as a prospect, and we're going to take him. On to the rest of Kiper's big board. 13 through 15 does not really apply to Denver too much. They're not going to go offensive tackle. I doubt they go with the safety. Maybe, but I doubt it. Malachi Starks, I think, would be a fun player, though. Michael Williams, edge rusher from Georgia, unlikely. You got Benito and Cooper. Colston Loveland is where our train makes its next stop because he might be the consolation prize for any team looking for Warren that misses out. So Loveland, I think, is still a very good tight end, though. 6'5", 245 pounds. So not as big as Warren, but definitely good size and a lot of meat on his bones. He's got incredible separation ability. And we really saw that in his 2023 campaign with the Wolverines. Unfortunately, in 2024, he fell victim to one of the worst, if not the worst, actually, I'm just going to say it, the worst passing attack in all the Group of 4 schools. Which it sounds weird, I'm saying Power 5. But you can look at his numbers from 2023 when J.J. McCarthy was his quarterback. 649 yards, 4 touchdowns. And even this past season, with horrible quarterback play, he still put up some really nice numbers, but not quite as good as his 2023 season. I think Loveland's also going to make a very nice tight end at the next level. I don't think he will be a superstar tight end, but I think he's got the potential to have a ceiling like a Sam Laporta, someone who could look like the third or maybe even the second best tight end that single season. On we go. We've got a corner from ECU next. Chevron Rivell, not going to be the pick for Denver. Walter Nolan, and then Derek Harmon, 2 defensive tackles who I do want to talk about because I could see these players catching George and Sean Payton's interest. Nolan and Harmon are some of your best interior defensive linemen for this draft class. One big reason why, their pass rushing upside. It is not easy to find players that are 300-plus pounds that have 5 or more sacks. Like, year to year, I don't think there was one last year of someone with 300 pounds to his name and 5 or more sacks. These types of players, kind of like Tyler Warren, they are not available every single draft class. And I could see them being a plan C for the Broncos. If plan A is Tyler Warren and plan B is Ashton Jeanty, or flip-flop them however you want, and both guys go before pick number 20, I could see Denver just looking at 2 incredible athletes for their size and the pass rushing prowess and the upside, and stopping there and going, we rarely find these big of guys that can get after the quarterback. And there is no place quarterbacks hate pressure for more than right up the middle. And with DJ Jones being a free agent, this could be a simple plug and play and reinforce the trenches. As for the rest of Kiper's big board, Jahad Campbell out of Alabama, linebacker, no thanks. 21, Luther Burden. We'll stop here just for a quick moment and then power on to the rest of them because Burden does seem like a backup, like plan D maybe at receiver. If Denver really wants to get a wideout and T-Mac is gone before 20 is on the clock, then Burden might be the consolation prize, kind of like Loveland is to Warren. 5'11", 208 pounds, so a very different style of receiver than McMillan. McMillan is your big physical receiver. Burden is your yards after the catch. He had a little over 600 yards this year. 50% of that came after the catch. He is someone who you throw to on the slant, he catches, and he's gone. He's turning upfield. He's running to the end zone. But there are some concerns. One, the production drop-off. I mean, I don't have a good answer. If someone watching right now is a good, diehard Mizzou fan and can fill me in, please enlighten me. But how do you go from 1,200 yards to 600 yards? That's a question that needs answering. And if the Broncos come up with a satisfying answer, then maybe he is the play at 20 because he's a sleeper that fell because of a disappointing 2024 season. Personally, I would prefer a bigger body receiver. They've got a lot of those speed guys already. Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin. I think it might be nice to bring on your next Cortland Sutton style receiver. And that's more of McMillan's size. So that's the route I'd rather see Denver go, just to complement the already existing pieces in your receiver room. Now, let me ask you this question before we get on out of here. Who do you not want the Broncos to draft? We're going to show the last couple of names right now on Kiper's big board. So while you're looking at them, maybe it's one of those guys, but who is the player that you are drawing the line in the sand for going, no. Everyone's got it wrong. Stay away from that guy. Here's the rest of the top 25 for Kiper. I don't think the Broncos go defensive end, so pretty much rule out 22 to 24. Kenneth Grant out of Michigan, defensive tackle maybe, but I like the two guys we talked about earlier. So let me know in the comment section below who you do not want the Broncos to draft. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and like the video. It does help go a long way to support the channel. We got a couple of super chats during that one right there. Yeah. Oh, no. This is a tough scene right here. Trent, good to see you. AFX. Oh. Well, AFX is going to be upset. I don't know why his profile picture. How do you find this picture? I think it might be my LinkedIn photo. There it is. I think, no. If you can't even spell them, you don't get them. I think you found my LinkedIn. I don't use LinkedIn ever anymore. That is from, Thanksgiving 2019. I worked a college basketball Thanksgiving tournament. It's the Gulf Coast Showcase in Estero, Florida. Good time. LaSalle, they won. And that was pretty much the whole trip, yeah. So, not a very exciting story. Michael getting hashtag Broncos in the chat. Love to see it. Keanu, I'm playing Madden franchise, and I just drafted Jeanty. Who should I draft in round 2? If you can get my 3 guys, and I don't know if they'll be there for you in round 2, but Loveland, Nolan, and Harmon. I think those are 3 guys that are just going to make really good football players. Bobby's going to buy me a CU t-shirt. One of my good friends went to Colorado, and I went to visit him his last year there. I had a great time. We went to this burger spot. I wish I remember the name of it. And we went to another diner that was like really small and had a blast. Beautiful campus. Beautiful campus. Okay. My burner. I'm super chatting myself right now. Thank you, AFX. Oh, wait. No. Wait a minute. Now I'm confused. I think he changed it after he saw Matthew Peterson. Yeah. Well, it says, let's celebrate their first super on a live stream. If you change your name, does it reset the super count? So are you saying these are 2 different people? Oh.
I think it's 2 different people, and AFX saw the profile picture.
I see. I assumed they were both AFX. No. I did not super chat myself.
He got Matthew Peterson in the chat.
Yeah. You stumped me. Not going to lie. I just remember this basketball tournament. It was a men's and women's tournament, and I had never really covered women's basketball before. And the first game, it was Maine versus, I can't remember who they were playing, but the Maine basketball team, they had this girl from Spain, and she was the best player on the court for all 8 teams. And then she tore her ACL in the second quarter. And I'm not here to make fun of women's basketball. Imagine Maine women's basketball missing their only good player. They got 4 points the rest of the tournament. It was a tough scene. Yeah, that was a tough one. No, Matt, this is definitely AFX. This is 100% AFX. It's 110% AFX. Okay, mailbag coming up next. Use hashtag Broncos or Super Chat.
I think he just used a different email to log into it.
Yeah, he's doing something. Yeah, that's AFX.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, Bobby, I like your thought there. Just use hashtag Broncos because I do want to talk about, or would like to talk about, whether or not Denver's going to keep Zach Wilson or Jared Stidham to be the backup for Bo Nix, because I don't think both guys are going to come back. I don't think both guys want to come back. If both guys come back, one of them is signing up to be the third string quarterback again. And you can quickly just fall out of the league by being a third stringer for too long, and no one seems to notice you. And you might be better than some other backups, but people want to go a different direction because they just have a third string connotation attached to your name. Yeah. Okay. Are we ready to get this mailbag going? We got enough questions? Use hashtag Broncos or Super Chat. If you're thinking of a question at the last second and you want to skip the line, Super Chat. Yeah, we got Sam Super Chat. Yeah, the AFX, you did not play your cards well. I would hate to be like AFX's teammate in a card. Like, what are some of the card games that are like you work in a tandem with someone? Isn't that Mahjong? No, that's a single player. Oh, I mean like two-player. I guess that would be like dominoes, tiles. All right, here we go. Let's talk all about whatever you want to talk about. It is mailbag time here on the Broncos Breakdown. I'm answering questions that came in during our live show, which airs every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Mountain Time. I do ask that you go ahead and share our video with a friend that you know likes the Broncos. That way we can grow the channel even more. First question coming in from Pretty Nuts. Should the Broncos sign T. Higgins? And they found my LinkedIn photo. Okay, let's talk about T. Higgins for a second here and walk through the motions of him as a player and then him as a free agent signing, because those are two very distinct differences. T. Higgins as a player is someone that you could definitely warm up to. He had 911 yards and 10 touchdowns this year in 12 games. So the thought process is the numbers he can put up in a 17-game span and not being the team's number 2 receiver are insane. However, I do think that 12 games played is a very important stat, because look at his last 4 years. He's never played a full season. Close in 2022. We can almost round up for him there. But the last 2 seasons, he has missed a total of 10 games. So if you are giving out a big contract to someone, they better be available. And also, speaking of a big contract, the wide receiver draft class this year is not very good. So that means wide receiver free agents' values are just going to skyrocket. Just like how last year a bunch of running backs got paid, I don't think it's because GMs all of a sudden woke up and took pity on the running back market. No, it's because the running back market in the draft class was bad. So if you wanted a good running back, you had to get it in free agency. And that's why they made so much money, or partially. So I think T. Higgins is going to make a boatload of cash this year, because any team that wants a good receiver, they're not going to find one in the draft immediately. And I don't really want the Broncos to be, unpopular opinion, the team that arguably overpays for T. Higgins, partially because the draft class is so weak at receiver, for a guy that's missed 10 games over the past 2 seasons. That might age horribly if T. Higgins plays every single game for the next 5 seasons. But I'm going to look at the sample size of his first 5 seasons. And I see someone who's dealt with a lot of injuries. It may not be worth what's going to be a huge price tag because of his skill and the draft class at the position this year. So let me ask you guys right now. Do you want to sign T. Higgins? Yes or no? This is the pinned comment on today's episode, so scroll on down and let me know whether or not you want to see Denver ink Higgins. Next question coming in from the B. Who do you want the Broncos to draft? With some level of realism for who could be available at pick 20, here are my top 3 guys. Ashton Jeanty, Tyler Warren, Walter Nolan, Ole Miss defensive tackle, Derek Harmon, defensive tackle out of Oregon. In order, those are my top 4 guys right there. It's January. That list is probably going to change a little bit during the combine and all those, the pro day and all those things that happen. But right now, those are my top guys for the Broncos. I just feel like Jeanty is going to be a stud at the next level. And this is a don't overthink it example. And Denver really needs help at running back. If they don't land Jeanty, Warren would be an excellent pick. They also need a lot of help at tight end, just like running back. But I put Jeanty ahead of Warren because I think he is slightly a better player. And 2, running back is more important to me than tight end. Sam, BBM. Hi, Matthew. Really like your knowledge of the Broncos and the NFL. Appreciate it, Sam. I'm really looking forward to an offseason with lots of cap space and draft picks. Go Broncos. Sam, thank you. As for the second half of your message, I too am excited for what could be a very exciting free agency period for Denver. Also getting back into round 1, round 2, and round 3 of the draft. Your traditional early draft picks for the first time in ages, right? They went from no first, no seconds to getting some seconds back for Von Miller, but of course the Rams had to win the Super Bowl that year, so the very end of round 2 and round 3, and then getting back into round 1 for Bo Nix, but no round 1 because of the Sean Payton trade. As for the cap space, you've got the richest owners in the NFL, so I can't quite say with a strong, back that this is going to be true. I'm not convinced they're going to be big spenders in free agency this year. Usually free agency big spending sprees happen in cycles. They spent a lot 2 years ago in the 2023 offseason. Didn't spend a lot in 2024. I think they'll kind of pick back up again in 2025. Maybe spend a lot in 2026 and then back down in 2027. So I don't expect any blockbuster signings, to be honest with you, for a guy like Chris Godwin or T. Higgins. Reyes Gaming. Do you think the AFC West will be very competitive this year? By this year, 2025. Yeah, 3 teams made the playoffs out of it. Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos. And then there's the Raiders, who suck, and they will suck again next year. The NFL, though, is the league of parity. And it's the league of injuries can vastly impact a team's season. So if you remove injuries and everyone just stays healthy, I have no reason to believe those 3 teams all won't make the playoffs again next year. So, yeah, I would say the AFC West is going to be very competitive. And it's probably the reason, or partially, why Ben Johnson did not go to the Raiders. He didn't want to deal with Patrick Mahomes, Jim Harbaugh, Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Herbert, and Nix 6 times a year. That's a third of your schedule. No. He's like, I'm not playing that game. Lamar, would you be okay trading a first next year to get Ashton? It's a good question. My answer is no. The question you got to ask yourself is Ashton Jeanty going to be better than Tyler Warren, and let's just say next year it's the 20th overall pick again, just to kind of keep it simple? Probably not. So I would not trade a first next year. No. Chris G. Juwan Johnson in free agency as tight end, and Broncos trade up for Ashton Jeanty. No chance Payton wants to wait for a rookie tight end to develop. Bo is on his rookie contract. It's a really good point that Chris makes. Tight ends traditionally take a little bit longer to develop. We can see receivers just get to the NFL and just pick up where they left off, right? It's run, catch, run. Tight ends, all of a sudden, you are tossed into some new roles. Maybe at college, they didn't ask you to block at all. And then you get to the NFL, and it's like, hey, first day of training camp, do you mind blocking Nick Bonito, the guy that 13.5 sacks last year? What? I never did that once in college. So tight ends take a little bit longer to develop. And I would not be opposed to this plan right here by Chris. Sean Payton said they don't want a bell cow back. Last year, he was the king of smoke and mirrors. Maybe that's what he's doing again, or maybe he's being honest. We will find out one way or another in April. Before we move on to the rest of the questions on today's show, quick shout out to our friends over at Gametime. Gametime is an awesome feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. One thing I really like about Gametime is they offer the Gametime guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app today and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but once more, download the Gametime app and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. All that information is in the comments and description of today's video. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Aiden, what do you think our record would have been this year if we never got rid of Russell Wilson? It's a good question. Last year they were 8-9. Well, yeah, last year, 2024 with Russ. This year, 10-7. I'm going to guess 9-8. I don't know if I can point to a game that Russ would have lost that Bo Nix would have won. Like, Russ might have been able to beat the Steelers in week 2. But I don't think he probably takes care of business against the Colts. That seems like a game he could have lost at home. I'll go with 9-8. It's a very good question, Aiden. It's one I'd love to play out in a simulation. I don't think they win 10 games with Russell Wilson. So I'll say they improve from the previous year. Give me 9-8. First down, prods. Zach has starter experience, so do we keep him? So the Broncos have 2 free agent quarterbacks, Jarrett Stidham and Zach Wilson. I do not expect both quarterbacks to come back. If I were them, it'd be a little bit of a game show of, do you want to come back if the other guy's coming back? Because now one of you is signing up to be the third-string quarterback. And if it's Zach Wilson as a third stringer in back-to-back seasons, he's probably out of the league that third season after that. So my suspicion is Zach Wilson will come back. I think the Broncos really like the improvement they made with him from his time in the Jets. I think Wilson probably wants to be a backup for one more year, learn a little bit more, and then try the Sam Darnold path of, hey, is some team out there willing to give me another chance again? I'm still very young, just like Darnold was. Whereas Stidham, I think Stidham probably wants to go somewhere where he can be in a spot to be a little bit more competitive for the starting gig, whereas there is just no chance that's happening behind Bo Nix. Me, myself, and I. Someone made their name my name. I think the Broncos should get Bennett for quarterback. No. First off, wait, Stetson Bennett? I don't know what Bennett you're talking about here. No. Stop it, AFX. We freestyle forever. Mason Graham or Kenneth Grant, Michigan men. Mason Graham, I think, is going to be a top 10 draft pick. I don't think he'll fall all the way to 20, so it would require a trade up for him. That would be a great selection, though. I mean, the Broncos need a little bit of help on the interior of their defensive line with DJ Jones being a free agent. Love Graham. Grant is probably my third favorite defensive tackle behind Nolan and Harmon. If those two guys were, it's unlikely that all my dream picks are all taken before 20. So Grant might be your plan E or whatever that's E. GHJ. Yeah. Appreciate your super chat, though. I'm just existing. Is Mims still a bust? Absolutely not. I don't think Mims ever was a bust. He was the last pick, or one of the last picks in round number 2. He had a all-pro rookie season as a special teamer. Pro Bowl rookie season as a special teamer. Sure, maybe took a little bit longer than desired for, but the way he ended 2024, no. Absolutely not. Michael with a $10 super chat. Thanks, Matthew, for the amazing work covering the Denver Broncos in the NFL for Broncos Country. Michael, appreciate that. Thank you. That puts a big smile on my face. Love what I do. Love talking about this team with you guys, so thank you. Bobby, also with a $10 super chat. Piss on the Chiefs next year, Broncos Country. I will say the quotes that came out from the team and from Sean Payton about they really liked their chances at the Chiefs if they got past the Bills. it fired me up, and it made me that much more excited for Broncos Chiefs 2025. We might get Broncos Chiefs week 1 this year. Kind of feels like there is, a re-emerging rivalry between those two teams. So if the Chiefs aren't playing on Thursday of week 1, give me Broncos Chiefs Sunday Night Football week 1 this year. That'd be a lot of fun. Who you got for the AFC Championship game? Let me know, the Bills or the Chiefs. I'm pulling for the Bills. We're all pulling for the Bills. I want to hear from you in the comment section. Appreciate everyone that sent in the super chats. Michael and Bobby. Means a lot to me to see those kind comments. Matt with a $2 super chat as well. Let's go. We're having ourselves a little palooza this Tuesday afternoon. Matt Markowski. Let's get Njoku, then we can move up in the draft and a wide receiver. I don't know if the move really is give up draft capital for a 29-year-old tight end who's had some injuries almost every year of his career. When Njoku's healthy, he's phenomenal. He's great, like as a blocker, as a receiver, yards after the catch. 2 claps for Matt, too, by the way. 1-2. But draft capital and contract-wise, I think those will be turnoffs for George and Sean Payton. And that's an important part of the of the whole process when talking about a trade, because you're not looking at it like a fantasy football trade. You also got to look at the money side of things. We've got Asher. Now that I know you're a UT fan, I might have to unsubscribe. Go Big Blue. Why does Tennessee and Michigan have this beef? But I do respect that Asher said UT, because this is the real UT. A school before Texas was even a state. Okay, I think that's going to do it for us on today's live show. Thank you to everyone that tuned in. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you come back next Tuesday. We'll go live every single Tuesday for the offseason, hopefully. And I'll let you guys get on with the rest of your Tuesday afternoons. Thank you again. And for everyone that's super chatted, big thank you to you guys for going above and beyond to support the channel. I'll see everyone later.